Hey guys, it's Shannon, and today I am going to be doing a combo Halloween wrap-up slash October slash Spookathon wrap-up slash just kind of spooky books in general. I don't know. That whole Halloween theme that just ended video. So, this is the awesome stack of books that I have for you guys. The first thing that I'm going to talk about is Spookathon. And Spookathon ran from the 17th to the 23rd. While I didn't post a video about it then, unfortunately, I still did participate. And basically, it was 5 different prompts. You read as many books as you can in those couple of days. And yeah, that's that. So, for Spookathon, the first prompt was a thriller, and for that one I read Dead House by Dawn Kurtigic, and you may remember this from the Boston Book Festival video. So this book is about a girl, or girls, depending on how you look at it. So it's a girl who has multiple personalities, dissociative identity disorder, they call it, and she has 2 distinct personalities in her one body. Caitlin is the personality that comes out during the nighttime, and wow, why can't I remember this? Carly, that's it, is the personality that comes out during the day. So the book is told, it's really unique too, and I really like it. It's told through like journal entries, messages, transcriptions, emails, whatever, all this kinds of like documentation stuff, and basically what happens is the school that Carly slash Caitlin go to burned down, and you're not really sure who did it. We think it might have been Ken, you don't know. So they're going through the police file, and you get to read all of this, you know, leading up to the incident, and you're trying to figure out what happened. And I thought it was really interesting, especially the take on, like, is she crazy because she has these 2 people living in her same body and hears voices and all that, or is it some demonic entity, or, you know, what's going on? And I thought it was really pretty interesting, and I really liked it. I think I gave it 4 out of 5 stars on Goodreads. So that was the first one that I read. The second book was a book with red on the cover. So for that, I read The Call by Peter O'Gillen, I think. Which is an Irish author, and this one was really pretty cool too. So basically it's set in Ireland, and what happened is that the fairies of lore in Ireland have come back, but instead of being nice fairies, they're really pretty cruel, god-awful creatures. So they've cut Ireland off, they've shrouded it in mist. Any plane that tries to fly in immediately grounds and dies, and nobody's left on board. Anyone who tries to escape vanishes, and they don't escape. So Ireland's all kinds of cut off, no Wi-Fi, nothing goes in, nothing goes out, you know. So they're cut off from the entire world, and also these fairies start taking teenagers. So anytime during your adolescence, the fairies will randomly call you, and if you get called, you spend, it's 3 minutes in our world, but you spend a day in the fairy world, and if you live, you get to come back. If not, well then, you know, your body is returned upon the day ending, whatever's left of you, you know, so the fairies hunt you down, and if they touch you, they like mutilate you and give you like horns and all this crazy stuff. Also, it's not like our world, it's a crazy hell world where everything's like gray and there's like trees that eat you and just crazy stuff. So the main character is a girl who has problems with her legs because she got polio because there's no more vaccines since Ireland got cut off. And it's her struggle to go through school and prove that, no, she will survive, even though she's already at a disadvantage with this disease that ravaged her legs. You know, so she's going to what they call a survival school, where instead of regular school, every teen gets sent to a survival college where they teach you how to survive the call, So the entire book you're reading and watching her friends get called, watching people she know get called, and you're waiting for her to get called and to see if she survives this. And I don't want to give anything else away, but I thought it was a really interesting book, and definitely very fitting of Halloween, and I'm glad that I read this one. So the next book that I chose to read for Spookathon was a book with a spooky word in the title, and I chose to read Rotten Ruin, which is a YA novel about zombies. It's a zombie land sort of deal, where teens are trying to survive the zombie apocalypse. Unfortunately, I did not get to read this book. I wanted to, but I didn't get to finish this one, but I'm still hanging on to it anyway because eventually I will read this book, and I do love zombies. Oh wait, that's right, sorry. It is by Jonathan Mayberry. Now, the next book in Spookathon, I also didn't get to read this one. It's And the Trees Crept In by Don Kurtigic, which you also saw from the Boston Book Festival video. This was for the 2016 release prompt. I suppose I could have counted The Call as part of that because it was released in the US in 2016, but I wanted to get to read this one. I didn't get to read this, so I'm moving this to my November TBR because I really, really, really wanted to read this book too. So basically it's about a girl who goes into a forest and she starts to see the trees move. And is she going crazy? Is there something out there? So another spooky, what's happening sort of read. And we will be getting to that later this month. And then the last book in Spookathon is The Diviners by Libba Bray. And this is a book set in the Roaring 20s, which I thought was awesome because I just love the 20s. And it's about a girl named Evie O'Neill and a bunch of other characters. But basically, the premise is Evie O'Neill is what's called a diviner. So when she holds an object of somebody's, she can read it and get parts of their past and significant portions of their lives, their memories and whatnot, from holding that object. So more or less what happens is she gets sent to New York to live with her uncle who owns the museum of I don't remember the exact title, but all this creepy supernatural stuff. And they end up trying to solve a murder case because there is this case where it's the Pentacle Killer is running around killing these people and leaving these creepy notes, and they have to solve this murder case together, and she decides to use her talents as a diviner to do so, and then you get to meet some other diviners on the way, and I really liked this book. I actually listened to it on audiobook because Hailey, her channel is Hale's Hearts NYC. I'll link her in the description box down below. Definitely go check her out. She's awesome. I love her videos. She suggested that the audiobook was really, really good and she really liked it, so I decided I would listen to the audiobook of this while I was reading other books, and I loved the audiobook. I thought it was really well done, and I liked it so much that I decided to listen to the second book, Lair of Dreams, on audiobook as well. Alright, so that's it for Spookathon, and then other books that I read this month, I also read Enclave by Anne Aguirre, and this book is about people who live in underground little compounds because the world has basically gone to hell. So people live in these small little villagey type things, and they live in underground compounds in the tunnels. And outside of those tunnels, it's up top side, it's just a barren mess. There's nothing. It's terrible. So the people live underground, and the other things in the tunnels besides people are what are called freaks. And basically, they are bloodthirsty monsters that just want to rip you to shreds and kill you. So it's a girl who, she is what's called a huntress. There are 3 classes of people: breeders, builders, and hunters. So either you breed, either you build, or you hunt. So the hunters bring back meat and food for the group. The builders, build and make all the things, and then the breeders keep the population going. So she's a hunter, and she gets paired with this mysterious outsider. And then they have to go on a mission to see about a different colony that's a couple days away, and they find that it has been overrun by freaks and is destroyed. There is nothing left. So she eventually ends up getting kicked out and, what's the word? Kicked out of her... exiled, that's it. Kicked out of her colony that she lives in, and this other hunter comes with her. They get exiled together, and it's just their journey through, going to try and find other little colonies of people that exist, going wherever, and it's their journey to survive after that amongst these freaks that are trying to destroy everything and getting smarter. So, this was a really interesting read. I really liked it. I definitely want to read the second and third book. You'll see those later in a different video. And I thought it was fitting of the theme of Halloween too. I mean, look at this cover. Come on now. So, that, and then I also, this month, read Anna Dressed in Blood. And this is a really great story. I love it. I thought it was really unique too. So, Kendare Blake writes this book, and it is about a boy named Cass Lowood. He is a teenage ghost hunter like his father before him. So basically, he runs around traveling the country, hunting down ghosts and trying to kill them with this special knife he has. So it starts off with action immediately, him killing a ghost, and you get to get into his world and what he does. And then he moves to Toronto to hunt down this girl, Anna, because she is a vicious ghost that tears people apart limb from limb and just destroys and mutilates them, and he needs to go kill her. Turns out it's not that simple, because unlike other ghosts, she's different, and one thing happens, leads to another thing, they end up getting to know each other a little better, and I don't really want to say any more than that in case you haven't read it, but I thought it was a really good book. It was really interesting. It felt fresh and different and new because, I don't know, it just felt really interesting, and I really liked it. I thought at points it was funny. Cass's wit just makes it a really enjoyable read. It's also kind of touching. He was definitely also believable as a male character. And I don't usually read a ton of books from a male perspective, so I thought that was interesting and awesome too. Just check it out. It was really a good fitting book for the Halloween season as well. But even if it's not Halloween, I think you can still 100% enjoy it, so check this book out. Alright, so the next book that I read, not actually a book, but every once in a while I like to challenge myself and try to branch out from specific book reading or even YA genre. So I decided to pick up this manga, Tokyo Ghoul, and it's by Sui Ishida. And basically it's about a boy who gets ghoul parts transplanted into his body because something happens and he needs an organ transplant, and he ends up with ghoul parts in him. So he becomes the first half-human, half-ghoul hybrid. So the first manga is about his struggle just to come to terms with that and figure out how to live life as a ghoul. I really liked the art style. I thought it was very interesting and detailed, and I like this book. I think it's a great start to this series. I'm definitely going to go out and buy the rest of the series because it hooked me and I want to read more. So, if you're into some manga, check that out. I think it's a pretty good one. Alright, now, these next books I didn't necessarily read this month, but I did read them this past year, and I thought they fit the theme of Halloween spooky sort of things. So if you're interested, you could check these out. The first one is Ruined. I feel like this one is a little bit of a younger YA novel. Not middle grade, but a little younger YA. It's by Scholastic, and Paula Morris writes it. But basically, it's about a girl who has to go live in New Orleans with her aunt, and there she encounters a ghost in a cemetery, and she's one of the few people that can see this ghost, and it ends up being this whole big thing because anyone who sees this ghost is going to die. And there's this whole crazy familial history conspiracy with some of the other people that she meets and makes friends with. I don't want to say too much because it can spoil things, you know, but it's a whole conspiracy and craziness that she has to unravel in this big mystery. And I thought it was a pretty interesting read and also gorgeous cover. And I really did like that. You know, for a little simple scholastic thing, I thought it was a lot of fun. So check that out if you're interested. Also, we have The Replacement by Brenna Jovanoff. And the basic premise of this book is that there are fairies about, and again, much like the call, these fairies are not necessarily kind and sweet and cute and benevolent and whatever. These fairies come and sometimes they take babies out of their crib and they leave something else. So this is a story of the something else that was left in one of the cribs and his quest to figure out exactly what he is and where he fits into the world. Okay, this one is World War Z by Max Brooks. You can tell I have a thing for zombies, and this is one of my favorite so far that I've read anyway, zombie books. This one is interesting because it's told through reports. So basically it's a journalist who goes around collecting the oral history of the zombie apocalypse. And unlike other books, this isn't a struggle to survive or whatever. This is after the world has more or less been put back together and the zombies have been fought and the humans have triumphed. But this is the oral history of the zombie apocalypse. So basically, yeah, like I said, this journalist goes around and interviews people and gets their different stories and viewpoints of different parts of the world falling apart and then the humans ultimately triumphing. So it reads somewhat like a textbook, but not in a bad way, in a way that's really interesting because you don't usually get to see the zombie history told in this fashion, and you also don't usually get to see it told as like a complete history. Usually it's characters trying to survive, but this is more, you know, you get to see how the world fell apart, what people did, different ways that people survived, and then how things started to get put back together. And I just thought it was really, really good. I love this book. It's one of my favorites, especially because it's so unique. It's really interesting. So there's a ton of little different stories about the scientists who were there when the outbreak originated and started, people who lived in a submarine for a while to hide out from the outbreak, people who lived on a beach and would have to kill zombies that washed up on shore from walking across the ocean from a different continent, how things began to eventually get better because people set up compounds and started to regroup and refashion society. I think everyone who's into zombies should read this. I think it's a zombie staple. It's not YA, but anybody who likes zombies doesn't really particularly care about the genre, I don't think. If you're into zombies, I think you'll definitely love this. And I think, you know, anything zombie feels pretty Halloween. And then one of my absolute favorite books that I read earlier this year in terms of spookiness is Jenny Pox by J.L. Bryan. Now this is classified as a YA novel, but I would classify it as an older YA novel, probably like 15 plus. I don't think it would be suitable for younger teens, and especially not middle grade teens. That said, it was really, really good. It's an independent book. And it is about a girl named Jenny who has this awful power where when she touches people, their skin erupts into boils and plague and they start rotting and like all kinds of nasty stuff until they eventually die. So she's lived her entire life not being able to touch anybody because the first person she touched was her mother during childbirth and her mother then died, you know, and then when she was a kid she touched a girl on a playground who had like rashes and all kinds of nasty stuff on her for a while until she healed. So Jenny lives her life wearing gloves and being made fun of for being weird and outcast and strange because, you know, she can't touch anybody otherwise she'll kill them. So some of it begins as her struggle to just be a normal teenager, and then things evolve into even craziness. I can't really describe anything without giving it away, but I just think it's really, really interesting. It's such a good, unique book. It is a little graphic, which is why I don't think it's suitable for younger readers. And there is a sex scene that can be considered a little graphic. So again, not suitable for younger readers. But the way it's written is so... It's just really awesome. It's so descriptive, and it focuses a lot on the horror. And I don't usually read books like that. I mean, mostly because I haven't come across any really good horror books. But I think it's really, really neat to get to see her and her powers, and for her to find out that, oh wait, she's not the only one with powers. And for things to evolve into this mess where she's kind of fighting this, like, little war within her community and all kinds of craziness. And I urge everyone to check this book out. If you're interested, you don't need to get a physical copy. If you don't mind reading books on an e-reader or something, it is actually free on Amazon. The first one is free on Amazon. So go download Jenny Pox for free and check it out. Everybody can read it. That's how I found it. I was like, yeah, it's free, sure, why not? Sounds cool. And then I read it, and I fell in love, and I cannot wait to get my hands on the rest of this series because I so want to read the rest of this series. I'm dying. It sounds so freaking cool. Alright, and then the last book. This was also on my Halloween/October TBR, but I didn't get to this one, unfortunately, so it'll have to be shelved for a later time. But I definitely will get to this eventually. Who knows when? I have so many books to read. This is Shudder by Courtney Alameda. So it is about a girl who is a descendant of the Van Helsing line, and she can see auras. So she has this power, and she's also been trained to be a ghost hunter. So the way she hunts and exorcises ghosts is by capturing them on film with her camera, because once their spirit is captured on film, for whatever reason, then she can destroy it. So one night she goes on a routine ghost hunt, but things go awry, and her friends end up infected with this curse, and they find out that they only have 7 days to break this curse, or they die. So, it sounds really interesting, you know, in her, like, quest to break this curse so she and her friends don't die. I really wanted to check it out, and I was hoping that I would get to it because it seems like a perfect Halloween horror scary kind of read, but sadly I didn't get to. I'm still going to keep this, though, because obviously I will read this at some point. Hopefully it will be before next Halloween. But I think it's always handy to keep one book around for when you're feeling in a spooky kind of mood, you know. So, that'll be this book, I guess. Alright, anyhow, thank you for tuning in to my Spookathon / Halloween October / scary stories, I don't know, whatever kind of mess of a video. Appreciate it. You guys have a great November. I hope you had an awesome Halloween, and I will see you soon. Bye!